Hi, Wolfpack fans. I'm Jeff Gravely.
I'm Tony Haynes. We're beginning a new era on the Wolfpack Sports Network. Welcome, Chaz. Matt Chazanow.
I don't feel like we can proceed forward in talking about sports without taking a minute to pause and think about what's going on in the mountains of North Carolina with Hurricane Helene. I mean, we're used to these kind of things on the coast. And even in the Triangle and Triad areas, we've had flooding with Floyd and Hurricane Fran. But to see it in the mountains, to see how the way things are there, and there's a trio of NC State players that played their high school football, two at Christ School, and Aiden White and Zach Myers, and also Isaiah Shirley is from Boone. So it has an impact on this team, it has an impact on that community, and it's just brutal to see the devastation in the mountains.
I think it's the level of devastation too. I mean, it's so sad. It's heartbreaking. It's gotten the nation's attention. It's to that point. Also, everybody, not that it matters where it is, but everybody loves Asheville, everybody loves Boone, everybody, their hearts, anybody who goes to North Carolina, goes to the mountains, the west side of the state, those are kind of magical places up there, from Boone to Blowing Rock down to Asheville, and you know, all that it is once you head down towards Charlotte and the mountains there, and it's just really sad. So we hope everybody's okay, and frankly, we know everybody is not okay.
That's right.
And I think what the football program's trying to do, with the Vann family and Coach Doran have tried to do, and gather a lot of supplies. And Davin's family has this moving company, trucking company, I should say, and so they're bringing stuff over. And there's been a huge response to that right outside the indoor practice facility. Diapers, baby formula. I mean, it's heartbreaking that you even need to have diapers and baby formula, you know, so waters and essentials.
You know, I think Coach Doran always talks about he wants his Wolfpack fans to be proud of what happens on the field, but I think he also wants Wolfpack fans to be proud of what they do off the field. And this is a prime example. This was not an ask of Davin Vann. Davin went to Coach Doran and said, this is what I want to do. And it's something that's a very kind and generous thing, but it also hits home to a lot of these players too. They know a trio of their teammates that have families up there. They put themselves in that situation. This could be me too, right here. And some have probably been through hurricanes before.
Yeah, it hits really close to home. I think a lot have been through hurricanes before, just being around here, you know. And I think they know what that means, know what it feels like. And I think when you make this sausage, this football sausage, and you are a coach or a player, or you have access and you see everybody and you meet everybody, football so far pales in comparison. I mean, there's money and attention and media and all this stuff, and it's just not important when relative to that kind of thing, and relative to life, to what is important. And so I think it gives everybody big pause, and you go, oh, where are our priorities? What do we want to do? Let's do the right thing. I've heard Boo say, do the most right thing.
That's right.
And I love that saying, and I think that applies here. So it's heartwarming to try to do what you can to help and walk that tightrope of, well, everybody's trying to live life. It makes it harder to live life knowing that you're carrying the weight of everybody in the state on the west side. And we hope those are all well received. Everything that they're moving over there well received for people in need.
And it's just, you know, as we mentioned, devastating. I think that's the word that I've got some friends who have gone out there as members of the media to cover the event, and that's the one thing. He goes, the pictures in the video don't do justice to when you actually stand there and see the running water, to see houses and trucks floating down what was a street at one time before. It's a historic and destructive moment that gives a lot of perspective. You think you're having a bad day, you kind of look toward the mountains. If you think you're upset by the way you played or how your team played, you look toward the mountains, and that puts things in perspective.
First world problems here on the east side of the state, right? For the most part. There are some folks, I believe, toward the coast who are also affected, and I don't want to discount that, but specifically campus, Raleigh, right? We're all good. We're great. And on the west side, it just breaks your heart. Like you said, it's rivers that were the streets, and you see businesses and livelihoods, and the water's up to the top of the windows. You kind of can't believe it. I guess the way the mountains swale down in the valley, and the way it had rained already before. You'd mentioned off air, it was kind of ripe for devastation, and then it hit and happened and sat right on them. And so, I hope they can get out of it sooner rather than later, and everybody's, as okay as possible.
All of you out there affected, our thoughts are with you. All of those of you who have helped out, we appreciate it. And that certainly is the case when you're looking at Davin Vann and the NC State football program sending supplies out west.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Coca-Cola. Crisp, refreshing, and irresistibly tasty. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
It's Truck Month at your Carolina Ford dealers. Get great offers on a large selection of Ford F-150 trucks with available smart tech like Ford Blue Cruise, the hands-free highway driver assist feature named Consumer Reports' top-rated active driving assistance system 2 years in a row. Tough this smart can only be found here during Ford Truck Month. Get up to $10,250 in total savings plus 3 years of Ford Blue Cruise on a 2024 Ford F-150 XLT Hybrid.
These mascots represent some of the most heated rivalries in college sports. What could possibly bring them all together? Everyone agrees on the best team in smart home security. CPI.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
This segment of Pulse of the Pack is presented by Coca-Cola.
They got their identity back. They played tough. They played physical. They played to the standard, as Coach Doran likes to say.
At the 25, snap to Hampton, hands off left. Brown, he's crushed and drugged. Davin Vann streaks through.
And I think playing a team like Northern Illinois and winning in which the way they did was even more satisfactory. It was a tough, physical, old school football game and we talked about it before. If you want to play a team that runs the football, how do you find your football manhood other than stopping a team that loves to run the football? And for the most part, State did.
16 rushes and 1 pass in the third quarter for NIU.
Wow.
I mean, it's 1930 and we don't pass the ball anymore. It was a throwback game. Coach Doran expected that. I want to ask Coach Doran, and we will. I think we know the answer to this to a large degree, but he's got to be looking at NIU going, I kind of did this. Mm-hmm. This might be my fault a little bit. This was my place for 2 years, and he took the top off and the Orange Bowl and everything he did there, and now Thomas Hammock's done a great job. I totally see how they won in South Bend.
Right.
They play the most close games in America for basically the last 8 years. Not basically. For the last 8 years, they lead the nation in close games. Northern Illinois does. And so you're gonna be in one, right? You're in these coin flip games. And I thought that the Pack, above all, there are two things. You get in a grindy game like that. Well, we'll call it three things, okay? You got special teams, because those are always chunk plays. That's the crazy part about special teams. It's every play is 40 yards, 50 yards. Caden Noonkester's booming it half the field on average. 8 times. He did a great job. So you got punts, kick returns, all that stuff, right? That it is accentuated in import when you play a game against NIU, because chunk plays can be harder to come by.
Right.
You've got yourself a team that hadn't allowed a sack in 6 games. All year this year, one of 5 in the country, and then going back to last year, they hadn't allowed a quarterback sack in 6 consecutive games. and the Pack and Davin Vann got to him 4 times, forcing turnovers. Ball game. That's the game. Plus 4 turnover margin. Not only was it turnover margin, the Pack didn't commit a turnover. Formula to win. And a punter is basically part of your defense.
Right.
He's flipping the field over and over again. So if Caden Noonkester's not great that game, might not be a 30-20 win for the Pack, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. So it was very impressive.
Punters are players too.
That's right.
Boomkester, as he's been affectionately called now. And it was interesting in the booth after the game to see the All-American punter Johnny Evans begging for that. Just give it one more roll of the football, Mr. Statistician. He would have averaged 50 yards a punt.
That's right.
It was 49.8. But it was a difference in the game when you can 7 of your punts pin your opponent inside the 20.
Caden Noonkester, maybe DK Kaufman, maybe Davin Vann, but Noonkester might have been the player of the game. If you don't have a consistent, excellent punting unit, and it's more punts than they want to make. I mean, Robert and I and Dave Doran don't want Noonkester to be that busy. But if he has to be, then that's how you want him to do it. I mean, he's flipping the field, and he was doing a great job.
But also, too, I mean, Coach Doran even talked about how he was disappointed in some of the punts that Noonkester had earlier in the year and kind of challenged him a little bit. Again, this was a team that was challenged emotionally, verbally, physically, every way you want to look at it, in meetings, in practices, and you saw the response that they gave, and that included a guy like Noonkester. That included a group that hadn't been in the backfield a lot, the defense. They come up with 12 TFLs when they only had 15 for the whole year. Some of that is technique. Some of that is want to.
We're going to start things with a legend. He is the defensive line coach at NC State, Charley Wiles. Charley, welcome back to the show, and you're going to share some wisdom with us again. I look forward to that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoy being here.
Well, the price of a steak has gone up a lot the last couple of years, but I'm assuming you're not deterred.
No, I'm still getting out. It's I lost the baggage with the kids. So now it's just Andy and I, so it's not as bad.
Okay.
It's not as bad. But right now during the football season, we work every day. So
that's right.
We did have a recruit in last weekend, and we Saturday, big win, got to go get a steak. That was nice. But not a lot of eating out going on right now.
That's for sure. Did your group perhaps play its best game of the season on Saturday?
Well, we did, and we did as a defense for sure. It was really the first game we played 4 quarters of Wolfpack defense, like we've come to know it. And it is a requirement, right, if you're going to win games versus great opponents. It's a 4-quarter battle. That just gives you a chance to win, and that's something that we've been pushing on the kids, and they stepped up, and we got to do it again, to give us another opportunity. We've been getting the ball on the ground and turning the ball over. We did not have a turnover at Clemson, but prior to that, I think we got 10 in 5 games right now. So we're right at our average. What we want, our goal, is +2 a game. So in the D-line room, probably different than the first 4 seasons where it was a little bit of a line above the line with, Savion and some guys. And now it really, you've got, more parity, so where it's kind of week to week. And it's something that we've done and I've done in my career where, guys are, we're rewarding guys with production and rewarding guys with the level of play. So it's good that we got some guys coming on and we got more parity, and that creates, a very healthy competition,
This is a very off-the-field question here. You've done this. You've coached 25 bowl games. You've been doing this a long time. You have the best coach sound. This is a an audiophile thing. Like, you sound more like a coach than any other coach I've ever been around.
Go! Hi!
Have you ever practiced that? Did you always know that? Did you go out in your first practice, you're at Murray State or whatever, you're GA, and you go, this is it. This is what I want to sound like. Where does that come from?
Not at all. No, that's just my voice.
I love it.
My coaches made me want to be a coach, by just the whole process of which you spend so much time together, and the role model, and you're fighting together and that family feel. And so, you're going through college, you don't know what in the world you're going to do other than get a degree. And then at that point, when Coach Beamer went on up to Virginia Tech and started that, it was perfect opportunity, and then I haven't looked back.
These mascots represent some of the most heated rivalries in college sports. What could possibly bring them all together? Everyone agrees on the best team in smart home security. CPI.
It's Truck Month at your Carolina Ford dealers. Get great offers on a large selection of Ford F-150 trucks with available smart tech like Ford Blue Cruise, the hands-free highway driver assist feature named Consumer Reports' top-rated active driving assistance system 2 years in a row. Tough this smart can only be found here during Ford Truck Month. Get up to $10,250 in total savings plus 3 years of Ford Blue Cruise on a 2024 Ford F-150 XLT Hybrid.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
So you look at being able to reconnect with your identity, and I think we talked about the way the defense played in particular, and I want to focus on the defense because this is something you can carry with you the rest of the way. How they played against NIU is exactly the way they want to play the rest of the year, and that's something they can look at. We talk about and we hear about a lot fitting the run and setting the edge, and I saw that better in this game than I had before. And there were several guys that were doing it. So you think, well, what is it? What is setting the edge? It basically, your responsibility on the outside, whether you're a corner, whether you're a safety, to funnel a running back or someone inside of you. So you work your way outside of the blocker if you can't make the tackle, and you force them back. And I saw that several times. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Caden Fordham, career high 14 tackles. Sean Brown, career high 12 tackles. Davin Vann, career high 10 tackles. Funneling runners and receivers and quarterbacks into the middle of your defense.
If the best teams in the country have a strong sense of identity and a very specific target and goal target, and if there's a scheme, if Tony Gibson wants the tackles to come from between the hashes, or wants players, if they've run outside the hashes, to get helped back to the middle for that rally, that's what happened. And NIU does run the ball a ton, which can help influence the statistics, but shy of that data, the spirit of it all was consistent with what we heard the goal was, and that was to get the edge set. Coach Doran said that to us last week, I think, in the coaches show. The edges were not set against Clemson. The edges were set against NIU. That's a pro running back.
Agree.
Ontario Brown, he's fantastic. His backup is an Iowa Hawkeye. Those guys can really play. And they did a very nice job to get those guys in the middle. Ontario Brown had 220-something yards against Notre Dame on the road against the Fighting Irish. I mean, that guy can really, really play.
I want to talk a little bit about the play of DK Kaufman's. You know, we have seen him with the pick six. This game, he had the incredible, bone-jarring, ball is loose, I'm going to scoop it and score it all in one. A blindside blitz from your free safety that produces a turnover, and he scoops and scores. And by the way, a 35-yard kickoff return.
Yep.
So I'm like, this guy had to play running back in high school. And I look back, and I could find no evidence that he did, and I'm not saying he didn't, but he played high school in Louisiana. But this is how good of an athlete DK Kaufman is. He lettered in high school in basketball, baseball, track, wrestling, and soccer. And football, of course.
I would assume football was in there also.
Yeah.
Who is the time? Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, he's a great athlete. You can tell he wants the ball in his hands. Punt returner for Auburn. So, an SEC special teams guy, and that's no surprise that he could return a kick, although they are generally different personnel.
Yes.
But he's clearly comfortable with the ball in his hands. Some guys, I would say not always, but often with his body type, running backs, linebackers, maybe safeties, right? Because Sean Brown could do both, right? Sometimes you get a safety linebacker. Kaufman, some guys are just built to play football, any position. You need I was talking to Ruffin McNeil today at practice, and he's the best. And then we're talking about one of his former Red Raider players, a common friend of ours who we both crossed paths with. And he said they knew they had something in this guy when they sent him out on punt coverage that he had never played before. They had an emergency, guy was out, couldn't get in the game. They picked their most reliable guy. They send him in there. He had never repped at that before, and he's there and pulled it off. DK Kaufman might be that kind of guy. You can put him anywhere, right? Running back, you said it. He looks like a running back. If you needed him as slot receiver, he'd probably lay a heck of a block. And he might catch a ball and pop a big one. I mean, he's that kind of guy, even though he hasn't repped there, and I think we're seeing that now. And those are guys you win with. You can play him anywhere, and you need them, and they're there for you.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Carolina Ford Dealers. See your Carolina Ford dealer, proud sponsor of NC State Athletics.
It's Truck Month at your Carolina Ford dealers. Get great offers on a large selection of Ford F-150 trucks with available smart tech like Ford Blue Cruise, the hands-free highway driver assist feature named Consumer Reports' top-rated active driving assistance system 2 years in a row. Tough this smart can only be found here during Ford Truck Month. Get up to $10,250 in total savings plus 3 years of Ford Blue Cruise on a 2024 Ford F-150 XLT Hybrid.
From protecting your teeth and gums, to restoring your smile, to sponsoring your local team, Tar Heel Periodontics is the premier periodontal practice of the Triangle community. Our team of highly skilled doctors provide dental care as individual as you are, working with you to build a personalized treatment plan to create the beautiful, healthy smile of your dreams. With offices conveniently located across the Triangle and Central North Carolina, you're never far from the Tar Heel Periodontics family. Visit our website or call now.
These mascots represent some of the most heated rivalries in college sports. What could possibly bring them all together? Everyone agrees on the best team in smart home security. CPI.
Pulse of the Pack is sponsored in part by Coca-Cola. Crisp, refreshing, and irresistibly tasty. Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Try and decide.
We've talked about so much on the defensive side, and I think the defensive squad earned the steak dinner in that game. Offensively, it was a struggle at times. I mean, you look at the numbers that they put up. I think it was at 171 yards of total offense, which is the fewest number of yards they've been able to get in a win since 1999. And all hail to Prince, but that's, we don't need those kind of numbers anymore. No. But I think another part of it too is I think you're going to see the growing process of playing with a freshman quarterback. I think there were some. All right, let's look at this. Improvement, didn't throw it to the other team.
Yep.
had a rushing touchdown, had a passing touchdown. That's a pretty good day. But I think if you look at the broad scope, and I'm sure he and Kurt Roper have sat down and looked at this, there were some misses he had to KC Concepcion, some bad throws. And then there was one where he had KC open on a wheel and he didn't see him. So those are the kind of things you go, okay, what were you looking at here? Did you see KC there? So that's part of playing a freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
You're going to have the good, the bad, and the inconsistent.
I feel like now you're in the process with
Yes.
him, right? You go out at Clemson, maybe even second half Louisiana Tech. Let's go back even, and you see the obvious arm talent, you see the obvious things that pop and flash, and now you get to work, right? Like as an adult, everything I think is 2 years. Something new, first year, you're figuring it out. There's a fiscal cycle, there's different seasons, there's seasons of sports, seasons of the year, there's hurricanes, whatever happens. Second year, you get used to it. Third year, you start really rocking and rolling, and then you're off and running, right? That's an unofficial bro science hypothesis. CJ Bailey is in that, right? Like at some point, the cliche is if you're a freshman, back end of your freshman year, you're not a freshman anymore. You know, you've gotten to work and you're starting to polish. You've pulled out the statue and you're chipping away at it for your sculpture of what you want this to be. And I think that when you do that, first of all, statistically, credit to NIU, because they've done that now to 3 different teams, right? And it's just hard to, I mean, he didn't have the ball very much. You know, like right. CJ Bailey's pass percentage was fine. There aren't a ton of attempts to be had. And Coach Doran referenced the playbook wasn't fully open and kind of pulled it back a little bit.
That's the part, too, that I don't think people understand.
Yeah.
You're not going to walk out there with a playbook this thick with a true freshman quarterback. As soon as Grayson McCall's injury happened, I think they sit down, they pull the pages out that work for Grayson that don't really translate to CJ and vice versa. There's no way they're going to expose a freshman quarterback with too much information.
No, just the tip of the iceberg for CJ Bailey, you know, and it's not ever no success ever is a straight lineup.
Dave Doran wouldn't talk about injuries on Monday, but we have seen Grayson McCall in pre-games throwing some footballs. And Coach Doran has said he's continuing to improve. When he gets ready, he'll be back.
Coin toss guy.
Yeah.
He's been the coin flip guy. He's the captain. He's been a great coach and mentor to CJ Bailey. And I've seen him at practice, and he's had the headset on, and he's been out there, and you know, he had a backwards baseball hat on at coin toss against NIU. So, Coach has alluded to the fact that, you know, if he's ready, when he's ready, whatever the deal is, he's ready, and wouldn't give an update. And, you know, a lot of that stuff is private for really good reasons, not just football.
Opponents.
Whatever. Football, non-football, he's figuring it out and talking to who he needs to talk to.
And they will not progress with him until he gets the medical clearance. That's not a Dave Doran decision.
No.
That's not a Chris Roper decision. It's not a Grayson McCall.
Right.
It is the doctors and the trainers for whatever injury that he has.
Right.
It is in the hands of them. When they give the go-ahead, then he returns to the field and the practice and starts to work his way back into a rotation and trying to get back and finish his collegiate career.
That's right, which in and of itself might take some time. And, you know, he's done it a lot, but you got to rep it out. You got to get back in rhythm. So,
for Matt Chazanow, the voice of the Pack, I'm Jeff Gravely. We appreciate you tuning in.